way ahead of you. Woo!
That line of research and just doing lots and lots of reading, I feel a real bad negativity coming from everything that was, everything that I was reading. It felt really wrong. It was, I just felt it was the negativity of the whole subject involving politics and New World Order was, it was crippling. It's quite disgusting, really. So obviously, I moved on from that and started reading about the 2012 main calendar stuff, and Zeitgeist was released. I mean, this is all part of the kind of awakening process. Goes when Zeitgeist was released, obviously introduced the idea of religious fraud alongside the financial system and everything that goes with it. And if you've never thought about anything on this scale before, when you're watching those films for the first time, it is it's pretty mind blowing, isn't it? Really. As a result, I ended up wanting to get to these sites. I travelled to Egypt, I travelled to Mexico, I travelled to Malta. I went to see all the European megalithic sites and stuff. Basically, really getting in, into the gritty of where, all these strange sites around the world, pretty much where it all stems from.
Yeah.
And taking my camera out with me, and eventually, I mean, when I was in Temple Luxor in Egypt, I started getting some, significant pictures of orbs. If you've come across orbs before, the energetic light balls. I mean, some people would claim that they're reflections of dust, but when you're closely analysing them and you see the geometric patterns that are inside the some of the lights that you get on your photographs, they're pretty insane, really.
Yeah.
And this obviously got me thinking on the level of the spirit, and I started realising that for the first 24 years of my life, all I'd been worried about was the world around me and pretty much everything material. And did a bit of research and discovered Reiki. I found a lovely woman who essentially attuned me up to level 2 Reiki. And I mean, since then I've it's such a wondrous kind of energy to have to your life, like a Reiki energy, and to be attuned to it is brilliant. Last year was the crucial pinnacle factor in just completely snapping my old mindset, and I'd started paying an attention to crop circles in Wiltshire. I knew I knew of crop circles like in previous years and stuff, but not really paid an interest to them. And I'd made a decision with my friends to go down and look at the crop circles. And basically, on the day before we went down to view the crop circles, I'm based up in West Yorkshire in Leeds. I looked on Crop Circle Connector website just to get a good feel for where the crop circles were, so we could find them when we went down. And I noticed that there'd been a new crop circle found, and I was really baffled at this because basically this new crop circle had appeared about 2 miles from my house. And this was pretty much one of the very first times that a crop circle had appeared in West Yorkshire, about 200 miles away from where crop circles normally appear. And so I rang up my friend who was coming down to Wiltshire with me, and we both drove out to this crop circle that had appeared near us, and walked into this crop circle, and the energy in the crop circle was magnificent. There's clearly no one had been walking in this, and all I could put this down to when I was stood in that crop circle was that this crop circle had appeared the night before, telling me that I was doing the right thing by going to Wiltshire to look at the crop circles. Do you know what I mean? Like a synchronistic kind of event in which there's like a full manifestation of a crop circle in a field right near me, and they'd never been in this area before. It was pretty mind blowing. So on the Saturday we took the car out, drove down to Wiltshire to near Avebury and obviously near Stonehenge and the likes, and visited a few more crop circles. And on the night we attended a talk by Daniel Pinchbeck, who's obviously done a lot of work in 2012 shamanic practices and consciousness and the likes.
Right.
At this lecture there was a crop circle researcher named Michael Glickman, and having a good chat with him, and I asked him, I said, why would it be that on the day before we come down to look at the crop circles in Wiltshire, one should appear right by us? What is that? And this researcher himself had been researching for 20 years, said basically that when you start showing a true interest in this kind of stuff, like a synchronicity when you call someone and they pick up the phone having just thought of you, it's the same kind of principle. Like if you show interest to these crop circles, then they'll start appearing near you. And for a researcher of 20 years to tell me that, I was quite stunned at essentially what I was hearing and stuff. And the day after, we moved on to Glastonbury. It was obviously it was on the I think it was the 27th of July 2007, and it was the particular talk where David Shaler declared that he was the new Messiah.
Really?
Which it sent ripples through me, because I'd never thought I'd ever attend a lecture in which you'd seen someone declare themselves as the second coming of Christ, essentially.
Right.
It was pretty mind blowing, and seeing 300 people in Glastonbury Town Hall completely outraged, emotional, crying, going totally insane. It was quite an event, really.
Yeah.
But at this same talk, Ian Crane gave a talk, who you mentioned earlier, and his talk centered around the prehistory of the history of an elite cabal that have obviously been working in effort to establish this thing called Zion at the 2012 Olympics.
Yeah.
And Ian had obviously correlated this to a staged alien invasion of sorts, and obviously Werner von Braun on his deathbed announced that the last disaster to hit the planet would be this looming threat of an outside alien force.
Yeah.
So I left this talk that we'd been to, and I was I'd got a shitload of things going around my mind. Excuse my language. And
it's okay.
And then following that, I started getting these weird occurrences with the number 1111. I don't know if have you looked into much with the 1111 yourself? Do you know about it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. To set the groundwork for where I'm coming from, obviously I've got a few facts here that I'd just like to say, because obviously it's the basis for a lot of my work.
Yeah, sure.
And obviously this number, this 1111 is it seems to work itself into a lot of things. Predominantly the first thing is the universe itself. And obviously on the 11th of August 1999 at 11:11 a.m. there was a total solar eclipse that was observed through Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you move that further on the end date, December 21st, 2012, the end date of the main calendar, the winter solstice, which is when the calendar ends, is at 11:11 a.m.
So I've heard,
So obviously,
yeah.
so we've got this effect where the universe is ringing these numbers at us, you know, in accordance to consciousness and stuff.
Yeah.
And when you look at it in an astrological sense, with the, you know, the precession of the equinoxes and the 26,000 year cycle of the Earth wobbling through the 12 signs of the zodiac, we're said to be moving into the new age of Aquarius. And Aquarius is the 11th astrological sign. And so, getting further into it, you look at the numbers of 2112, 2012, and you add all those numbers up, and you get an 11. And then you look into the sun, for instance, and the sunspot cycles are 11 years. And basically everything that you can just keep finding these 11s out of things. And you could argue that, are you looking for them? But basically, when it's that amount of things within the universe, it's not like I'm looking for them because they are there.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. And so then you like start moving into the numerology of it. And for instance, if you get 1111 and you multiply it by 1111, you get the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is a pyramid. Okay, so you've got a pyramid numerology that you can get out of the 1111.
Backtrack on that a little bit and take it a little bit slower for us again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you got the time code 1111 and you multiply it by the same thing, so 1111 times 1111,
Yeah.
you get the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
So if you imagine that as a visual, you've got a pyramid.
So one step up, that's number 1. Then we have 2, that's 2 steps up. Is that what you're going at here?
Yeah. So essentially, like, because you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you were to plot that on a graph,
right,
on an X and Y, you'd have a pyramid.
Interesting.
So and the same decreases. So if you've got 111, you times it by 111, you get 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. You get a pyramid, whichever way you look at it. Anything with a base of 1.
Interesting.
And so then, if you look at the 11 itself, and in binary, an 11 stands for a 3. So obviously you've got a trinity out of it. Do you know what I mean? So if you were to convert to binary, it would mean it'd be 3. So essentially, then if you look at this idea of the trinity with it, you know 33rd degree Masons and the number 33 that goes around. Obviously, if you turn that into the trinity and you divide 33 by 3, you get 11.
That's interesting.
So you start like seeing these 11s, as I'm saying. So then you move on to recent events and you get to September